So this is the latest edition. It's 15:20 hours GMT. London is 3:20 in the afternoon in London, UK, within quotation marks, on Thursday, the 18th of March 2021. Now, there are quite a few pieces in the latest edition of Private Lie that are relevant to Tower Hamlets, really. In the Rotten Boroughs, they're not headlined with any words about Tower Hamlets, but they are actually contents that relate directly to Tower Hamlets. As we have been saying, that Tower Hamlets Council betrayed its legal duties to safeguard children. Now, we have said before, the children that were kind of in very high level of risk and needed help from Tower Hamlets Council under the council's duties owed to children, safeguarding children, and the period during which that duty was owed in this context and over which the duty was flouted and denied and neglected is a telling period, because it's period starting from October 2010. Starting from October 2010 and continuing up to February 2015, when these children, who are identifiable now by reference to the group associating together, but the two of them are no longer, unfortunately, reliably kind of citable as alive. The only one who is alive is Shamima Begum. And what happened during the October 2010 until February 2015 is that those 6 calendar years were the years when the girls were age 10 and up to 15. And sometime during those years, either when they were age 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15, these girls were in contact with one or more than one person or source. We don't know anything more than that. But we say that because when they were first publicly identified and reported about in the mainstream British media and by extension by the English language media in other countries, including in America, in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and of course in Bangladesh and India and Pakistan. These girls were aged 15 in February, let's say, 2015. So before they decided or before they were misled into leaving their home in Tower Hamlets and surfacing in Turkey or surfacing on the way to Syria at a kind of stopover airport or something in Turkey. So sometime between 2010 until February 2015, these 3 girls were subjected to any kind of process, contracts, whatever. We don't know that, the exact details of that, but we know that they were in contact, or they were kind of contacted by one or more than one party or person or thing. Because these three girls, when they were photographed in February 2015, or when their photograph that was taken and published for the first time in the media, in the mainstream media, so-called, in February 2015, they had been the victims of someone who owed them duty of protection and safeguarding and had done nothing to safeguard them, thus resulting in their escape or being ran astray or driven astray thousands of miles away from home in Bethnal Green in East London. And by the time they were photographed and filmed and the reports published about their being seen, photographed in Turkey on the way to Syria, as far as we know, as far as ordinary people in Tower Hamlets know, there was no way that these girls could be, let's say, talked back home, talked to and talked back home. It was a physical impossibility. And to this day, there has been no public statement of position by the publicly funded, quote, democratically elected, local, that is, local meaning the council that owed the children the duty, Tower Hamlets Council, had not done any of its safeguarding tasks and duties. So therefore, it didn't make anything available to the public. And as far as we can see, it didn't make it available, anything available even to the family. As to what the state of Tower Hamlets Council's knowledge about these children was. So what did Tower Hamlets Council do? Did Tower Hamlets Council take the duty of safeguarding children seriously? And if it did, what action did it take to safeguard children in a way that would have safeguarded these children as well as other children that have not been in the news in that way? Safeguarding duties is integral part and parcel of the children's services in the council. So who supervised the safeguarding duties? And when the news broke about Shamima Begum and the other two girls crossing from one country to another, or appearing to be crossing from one kind of border into another, the person or personnel in post in the Tower Hamlets Council social services were rationally, logically, legally, and empirically very much expected to make their position clear, that they were going to take the actions to protect these girls from that moment onwards. That is to say, when they found out about the girls' escape in February 2015. 15. Tower Hamlets Council did not produce any evidence of any action that it had taken in the period 2010 up to February 2015. And as far as we can see, Tower Hamlets Council was not even mentioned in any significant, memorable way by whoever made any comment allegedly on behalf of Shamima Begum and these two other girls in the public domain immediately after these three children were seen walking from one part of the airport to another. And in that context, we make the point that any person who was in post in an executive position, in a decisive decision-making position in the London Borough of Tower Hamlets Council at that time owed to Shamima Begum and the other two children all the transparent duties that the council was under. Because if, as an elected mayor, the person, so-called elected mayor person, is given high degree of power, any kind of independent action, executive action, then it would follow that a series of executive decisions are made to protect these children from whatever harms where they fell in the absence of any kind of invoking of the duty. So what duty did the Tower Hamlets Council actually invoke and expressly assign to who or how many employees of the council? And with what description? Because these questions are being put post facto. These questions are not being put as if these children are girls now or contemporaneously. What happened to these girls in the years 2010 until 2015? People may speculate and people may say all kinds of things. But one of the most ridiculous claims that have been made on behalf of the offenders, and we say offenders in the plural, because by offenders we don't mean the currently active Mia Farrows or Mia Farrow in the. So, I mean, we'll come to the Mia Farrow thing later. Tower Hamlets Council has not produced any reason why there is no mention of Shamima Begum on their website. And the list goes on. Tower Hamlets Council was blank in October 2010 about Shamima Begum. It didn't have to name these children. What it did have to do, what it still has to do, is to expressly engage with the monitoring of any scheme that was ongoing about safeguarding children. So where is the legal reason for Tower Hamlets Council not publishing any reason why they treated Shamima Begum as non-existent? Because all the evidence, like taken from pictures, video, and other kind of proximity between the people that were owed the duty and the people who owed the duty, let's say. So where did they go? These children obviously went about their whatever they thought they were doing normally as children. and they formed friendship, these three. Now, what investigation, if any, took place to investigate how these children are being befriended and who was befriending them and why the befriending did go on for as long as it did go on for. So, the current incumbent in the post of mayor at the expense of Tower Hamlets, the current incumbent is, of course, John Biggs, who came into office on 11th of June 2015 when he was almost unanimously elected de facto. So when John Biggs came into office, two issues, not long after he came into office, two issues became very immediately very hot. One was his decision to write off, that is to excuse the crooks at the Rich Mass Center. Complete leeway and complete excuse and complete forgiveness, so called. That is remarkable, isn't it? Because the money that the Rich Mass Center owed the Tower Hamlets Council was written off, that is to say, excused by John Biggs. That was the first action that he took. And John Biggs did similar things, but that was the one single important thing, most important thing, showing the abuse of the power of the mayor. That anyone looking like him could write off Tower Hamlets Council had been owing the duty of care, safeguarding duty of care to the children since the children were 10, 11, 12, whatever. And when the council failed or neglected the duty, the council and the decision makers must have done so consciously. Think about that. Anyone who says, comes in response to this particular broadcast and says that the councillors and this 16-year-old girl, 16, 17, 15, whatever, these girls and their existence and their need over there, let's say up to the age of 15, were not even in the knowledge of the councillors. Doesn't matter which ward the councillors now belong to. Point is that the councillors were not even aware of the legal duties they are part of. And one outsider who never kind of understood Tower Hamlets, but who has actually praised Lutfur Rahman after Eric Pickles announced an election probe, that is to say, Eric Pickles, as the Secretary of State for Communities, decided the Tower Hamlets Council under Lutfur Rahman had been too bad, had been too ineffective in addressing the issues of concern to the community, which was highlighted by the fact the women's group, or the group safeguarding children, I don't know, was one of the first groups that would justifiably have reason to dismiss the lies of the council, and that is the bottom line. Now, we have been saying in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the Tar Hamlets Council is the main port of call as far as Shamima Begum is concerned, and we're going to expand on this, elaborate on this in due course. So we shall be ending this particular part of the broadcast. And we are doing so at just 21 minutes to 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK, 15:39 hours GMT London, Thursday, the 18th of March 2021.